So, hello everyone. Here's what's bothering me today. Um, Kentucky is currently limiting the number of polling places for their elections. And of course, this happens to be in predominantly black neighborhoods and congressional districts. Um, I'm deciding to make this, even though I read about this a few days ago, because I also remember seeing a while ago they tried to pull a very similar thing in Georgia, where a city or a region or a county that had hundreds of thousands of voters, meaning they should have, say, 6,000 polling sites around various areas, they've limited them down to just a few hundred. This is a very clear form of voter suppression in what's supposed to be the greatest democracy on earth. This is part of why a lot of people, especially people involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, radical leftists, anarchists, and salty nihilists on the internet all say that voting is dumb because what's the point? And while, sure, if people did vote in enough numbers and were very determined and spent, 16 hours waiting in line, which is something that some voters in America have had to endure, then maybe it's actually possible to enact real change through an electoral system. But when a nation or a state gets to choose their voters by redrawing congressional lines, which is called gerrymandering, and when governors and their legislatures can change the number of polling stations to make it harder for the elderly, the infirm, the handicapped, the disadvantaged, the poor, people who can't get time off work, if they make it harder for those people to vote, that is a form of voter suppression. And it happens far too often in the States. We saw it recently with Georgia. We're seeing it now with Kentucky. What's next? Are they just prepping everyone for the general election? Are lots of ballot boxes and polling stations going to disappear before people have to vote in Texas, Pennsylvania, California? You can't claim to be against tyranny and love democracy if you support parties and politicians who do this. This should so clearly be a bipartisan issue. But for some reason, which I don't even know or understand, it's not. All these, boogaloo boys, the 3%ers, all these crazies who say, "Oh, listen, I'm a proud American. I will stand for liberty and against tyranny. Try me, motherfucker." They're dressing up and parading around like glorified LARPers with actual guns. But they're not addressing tyranny. They're not addressing injustice. I think I know the reasons why, but that's a subject for another video. But I just really wish that these people who claim to love democracy and love to see change are saying, "Oh no, direct action isn't the way. You need to make your voice heard at the ballot box." How can you make your voice heard at the ballot box if there isn't a ballot box for you to put your voice into? This is what voter suppression looks like. And it's happening everywhere. It's not just in America. It's happening in Brazil. It's happening throughout Europe. It's happening in Africa. It's happening in India. It probably also happens here in Canada. We just don't pay enough attention to it. It's incredibly disheartening when something that should have universal support, whether you're white, black, brown, Asian, left wing, right wing. So long as you have the shared values of I believe in democracy, I believe in freedom, then this needs to change. And it's not being changed. And the change is not going to be done at the ballot box. I don't know what the answer is, like tar and feather politicians again. I don't know. But that's what's bothering me today.